All right, welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive.
Always ready to dig in.
Good, good. So today we're tackling something, well, it's a manipulation tactic that can be tough to face. We're talking about vilifying the victim,
Yeah, this one is pretty insidious.
right? And we're using chapter 15 of, it's called Pasted Text.
Yeah.
This chapter is our guide today. Really gets into the nitty gritty.
It can be kind of unsettling, when you start to peel back the layers of how manipulation works.
Totally. But I think it's like the more we understand it, the better equipped we are to deal with it. Right?
Absolutely. Awareness is key.
Okay, so this chapter really digs into how manipulators kind of pull off this blame shifting magic trick, making it seem like the victim is actually the one causing all the problems.
It's all about avoiding responsibility, right? Instead of owning up to their actions, the manipulator finds a way to point the finger at someone else, the victim.
Right, right. Like, classic example.
Yeah.
You're working on a project, maybe at work, maybe with friends, doesn't matter. And someone misses a deadline.
Yeah. But instead of just saying, hey, my bad, I dropped the ball, they start making these subtle comments like, oh, if only I'd got that information sooner. Or, well, I was waiting on someone else to finish their part.
Oh, so sneaky. And suddenly everyone's looking at the other person like they're the reason the project is behind.
Exactly. They've successfully shifted the blame, and they've managed to avoid any consequences for their own actions.
And then pasted text talks about this whole idea of like distorting reality. It's mind blowing how manipulators can twist facts and even straight up lie to make the victim look bad.
Yeah, and it works because most people, they want to believe the best in others. They don't want to think someone is intentionally lying or trying to hurt someone else.
So we give people the benefit of the doubt.
Right, exactly. Which is why even, just a little bit of gossip or a rumor can do so much damage.
Yeah, it's like that saying, a lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is still putting on its shoes.
Right. And once that seed of doubt is planted, it can be really tough to undo the damage.
Which brings us to another key point from the chapter, the whole idea of creating doubt. Even if it's just a tiny little doubt, if it's left to fester, it can grow into this huge monster.
Like a weed in the garden of your mind.
Huh, that's a good one.
It chokes out all the trust, all the reason,
Hmm.
and then leaves you feeling unsure about things that you may have been completely confident about before.
And this isn't just some abstract psychological game. This stuff has real world consequences. The chapter really emphasizes how manipulators use these tactics well, to justify their own harmful actions.
Oh, absolutely. If
Oh,
they can convince themselves that the victim is somehow deserving of bad treatment, then it becomes easier to rationalize their own behavior.
so they don't have to feel guilty.
Right. Or take any responsibility. It's a defense mechanism, a way to protect their own ego.
It's disturbing, really, how they can isolate the victim, cut them off from their support systems.
Isolation is a powerful tool for control. If you can make someone feel like they're all alone, they're much less likely to fight back.
And more likely to believe the manipulator's version of events.
Exactly. They become dependent on the manipulator for validation, even if that validation is twisted and harmful.
It makes me think of like those classic divide and conquer strategies.
Mm.
Throughout history, you see this all the time. Propaganda, scapegoating.
It's a tactic as old as time. You see it in wars, in politics, even in personal relationships. And it works because it taps into this very basic human need to belong.
Right. And to feel safe. So if someone is telling you that a certain group of people is dangerous or untrustworthy, it's natural to want to distance yourself from them.
Even if it means turning against people you once considered friends or allies.
It's heartbreaking when you see it happen.
Yeah.
And I think this chapter really drives home how important it is to be aware of these tactics.
Absolutely. Because once you understand how manipulation works, you're much less likely to fall victim to it yourself.
Okay, so we've talked about blame shifting, distorting reality, creating doubt, justifying harmful actions, and isolating the victim. There's a lot to unpack here.
There is. But we're not done yet.
Right. Because pasted text really zooms in on how these tactics can be used to exploit someone's vulnerabilities.
This is where things get even more insidious, because now the manipulator is using very specific information against the victim.
It's almost like they're emotional sharpshooters,
Looking for that weak spot in the victim's armor.
and then they aim right for it.
And often, these vulnerabilities are things that the victim is already sensitive about. Past mistakes, insecurities, fears.
Things that they might be trying to hide from the world.
And the manipulator, they're not afraid to use those things against them.
And then, almost unbelievably, they flip the script. They become the victim.
Oh, the classic victim playing. It's a way of deflecting any criticism or responsibility.
Suddenly, they're the ones who've been wronged. And they're the ones who need sympathy and support.
It can be really convincing, especially if they're good at playing the victim role. They might even start to believe their own lies.
So how do we protect ourselves and the people we care about from this kind of stuff?
I think the first step is just awareness, understanding these tactics,
Yeah.
and recognizing the warning signs.
So this deep dive has been kind of a crash course.
In the art of manipulation.
Right, but for self-defense.
Exactly. And the more we understand about these tactics, the better equipped we are to protect ourselves.
Knowledge is power, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And remember, you are not alone. If you feel like you're being manipulated, reach out for help. Talk to a trusted friend, a therapist, or a counselor.
There are resources out there and people who care.
And don't be afraid to call out manipulative behavior when you see it.
Speaking up can make a difference.
It can.
All right, everyone, that's our deep dive for today. Keep those brains working and those conversations flowing. We'll see you next time.